The galaxy trembled as the embers of war spread across its star systems. In the heart of the turmoil lay the imperial palace of the Kirelian Dominion, a race known for their ethereal beauty and technological sophistication. Their Princess Liralei was a beacon of hope for her people, her luminescent silver eyes reflecting a future free of bloodshed. Yet, not everyone believed peace was attainable, and her enemies closed in, desperate to snuff out her light. Among the ranks of her royal guard stood a human named Marcus. Once a soldier of Earth, his life took a fateful turn when the Galactic Coalition accepted humanity into its fold. Humans, seen as tenacious but brutish, often found themselves in positions of servitude within alien societies. Marcus, however, had risen beyond his peers through sheer skill and an unyielding sense of duty. The Kirelians, skeptical of human loyalty, reluctantly assigned him to protect Liralei. Though she initially viewed him with suspicion, Marcus's unshakable resolve soon proved his worth. He had taken countless oaths, each sworn under the weight of her piercing gaze, and his every action spoke of his unwavering commitment. Still, there were moments when her doubt lingered, a shadow she couldn't quite dispel. The skies above the palace flared with explosions one fateful night as rebel forces launched their assault. Lirelei's chambers became a battlefield as assassins infiltrated the fortress. Marcus fought valiantly, dispatching one foe after another with precision. Blood spattered his armor as he shielded her from harm, his breathing ragged but determined. "We must leave," he urged, his voice firm but tinged with urgency. Liralei hesitated, her people's screams echoing in her ears. "I cannot abandon them," she whispered, her voice trembling with guilt. "You are their hope," Marcus countered. "If you fall, they fall. Trust me." Reluctantly, she nodded, and they fled into the night. Marcus led her through the labyrinthine corridors of the palace, his instincts sharp and unerring. Each step felt heavier as the sounds of war raged around them. The palace gardens stretched before them, a once serene haven now marred by chaos. Arrows rained from above, their sharp whistles cutting through the air. Without hesitation, Marcus stepped in front of Liralei, his broad frame a living shield. The first arrow struck his shoulder, then another pierced his thigh. He gritted his teeth, refusing to falter. "Marcus!" Liralei cried, reaching for him, but he pushed her behind him. "Keep moving," he barked, his voice a growl of pain and determination. Arrow after arrow struck him, his body a canvas of blood and agony. Yet, he did not waver. Each step he took forward was a testament to his resolve, each breath a defiance of death. He carried her through the gardens, his every action driven by an unspoken promise to protect her at all costs. Finally, they reached the safety of a hidden bunker, its reinforced doors sealing them away from the chaos. Marcus collapsed to his knees, blood pooling beneath him. Liralei knelt beside him, her hands trembling as she tried to stem the flow of his wounds. "Why?" she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Why would you do this for me?" Marcus managed a weak smile, his voice hoarse. "Because you believed in something greater. You gave me purpose, a reason to fight." Lirelei's heart ached as she realized the depth of his loyalty. She clasped his hand, her resolve hardening. "You will not die here, Marcus. I swear it." The war raged on, but the bond forged that night would become legendary. Marcus's sacrifice inspired not only Liralei but also the people of the Kirelian Dominion. Together, they rallied against the rebels, their unity unshakable. Marcus, though scarred and forever marked by his injuries, became a symbol of unwavering loyalty, a human who transcended prejudice to protect what he believed in. And as the galaxy slowly healed, the story of the human guard and the alien princess became a testament to the power of trust and the lengths one would go to protect those they love. Time passed in the sanctuary of the hidden bunker. Liralei worked tirelessly to keep Marcus alive. Her delicate hands, accustomed to the diplomacy and art of royal court, now became tools of survival. She applied every scrap of her knowledge in Kirelian medicine, mixing poultices, stitching wounds, and whispering words of encouragement to keep him conscious. Marcus drifted in and out of awareness. Each time he woke, her face was the first thing he saw, her luminous silver eyes filled with a mixture of determination and sorrow. Her voice, melodic even in desperation, soothed him through the haze of pain. "Stay with me, Marcus," she whispered one night, her hands trembling as she applied a fresh bandage to his shoulder. "You've already endured so much. You can't give up now." "I'm not going anywhere," he murmured weakly, his lips curling into a faint smile. "You still need me." Despite his jest, Marcus knew his strength was fading. Each wound exacted a toll, and even Kirelian medicine couldn't work miracles. Still, he fought against the darkness closing in on him, not for his own sake, but for hers. If he died, she would be left alone in a galaxy eager to destroy her. Days turned to weeks as they remained hidden, the war raging on outside. News trickled in through encrypted transmissions, messages filled with reports of betrayal, shifting alliances, and the relentless advance of the rebel forces. The Kirelian Dominion was losing ground, and Liralei felt the weight of her people's despair pressing heavily upon her. Despite his injuries, Marcus refused to remain idle. Once he could stand, he began fortifying their hideout, fashioning rudimentary defenses from salvaged materials. Liralei protested at first, urging him to rest, but he waved her concerns away. "I'm not dead yet," he said with a wry grin. "And as long as I'm breathing, I'll protect you." His determination rekindled something within her. Watching him, Liralei realized that survival alone wasn't enough. They couldn't hide forever. If the Kirelian Dominion was to have any chance of victory, she needed to reclaim her place as its leader. One evening, as they sat by the dim light of a portable lamp, Liralei broached the topic. "Marcus, we can't stay here. My people need me." Marcus regarded her with a mixture of pride and concern. He admired her resolve but knew the risks all too well. "If we leave this bunker, they'll come for you. And this time, it won't just be arrows." "I know," she replied softly. "But I can't abandon them. They've suffered because of me. If I don't act now, there won't be a Dominion left to save." Her words struck a chord in Marcus. He had seen countless leaders during his time as a soldier, many of whom wielded power selfishly or crumbled under pressure. Liralei was different. She carried the weight of her people's hopes with grace, even in the face of overwhelming odds. "All right," he said finally. "But if we do this, we do it smart. No rushing into the lion's den." Liralei smiled, a glimmer of gratitude shining through her exhaustion. "I trust you." Their journey back to the remnants of the Kirelian forces was fraught with danger. They moved under the cover of darkness, avoiding patrols and using Marcus's military training to stay one step ahead of their pursuers. Liralei, who had rarely set foot outside the palace walls, adapted quickly under his guidance. She moved silently, her steps precise, her instincts sharpened by necessity. Along the way, they encountered pockets of resistance, Kirelian soldiers and civilians who had taken up arms against the rebels. Liralei's presence ignited a spark of hope among them. Her mere appearance was enough to rally them, her words inspiring courage where there had been despair. Marcus watched her in awe as she addressed the growing ranks of her supporters. Gone was the sheltered princess he had first met. In her place stood a leader, fierce and unyielding, her voice carrying the promise of a brighter future. Their return to the Kirelian stronghold marked a turning point in the war. Liralei's reappearance sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Allies who had hesitated to join the fight now rallied to her cause, emboldened by her defiance. Marcus became a legend in his own right, his unwavering loyalty earning him the respect of even the most skeptical Kirelians. But the rebels were not idle. They launched a final assault, determined to crush the resistance once and for all. The battle that followed was unlike anything Marcus had ever experienced. The air crackled with the energy of advanced weaponry, the ground trembling under the weight of massive war machines. Marcus fought at Liralei's side, his injuries forgotten in the heat of battle. He moved with a precision born of experience, his every action calculated to protect her. Together, they faced wave after wave of enemies, their bond unbreakable. When the dust finally settled, it was Liralei who stood victorious. Her people's cheers echoed across the battlefield as the rebel forces surrendered. Marcus, battered but alive, stood beside her, his heart swelling with pride. In the years that followed, the galaxy began to heal. Under Liralei's leadership, the Kirelian Dominion rebuilt itself, stronger and more united than ever. Marcus remained by her side, his role evolving from protector to trusted advisor. Though his body bore the scars of countless battles, his spirit remained unbroken. And through it all, the story of the human guard and the alien princess endured, a tale of sacrifice, loyalty, and the unyielding strength of the bond they shared. It was a story that reminded the galaxy of what could be achieved when two souls, so different yet so alike, stood together against the darkness. The aftermath of the war brought challenges of its own. Peace was not something that arrived with the wave of a hand or the signing of a treaty. The rebel forces, though defeated, had left deep scars across the galaxy. Reconstruction was slow, and mistrust simmered among the factions that had once been allies. It was a fragile peace, and Liralei worked tirelessly to maintain it. Marcus took on new responsibilities in this new era. Though his official title remained that of a royal guard, his role had expanded far beyond the scope of his original duties. He became a liaison between the Dominion's forces and the various planets that had aligned themselves with Liralei during the war. His human perspective and pragmatic approach often bridged gaps where diplomacy faltered. But not all wounds could be mended so easily. The Kirelians were a proud people, and many still viewed Marcus with suspicion. To them, he was an outsider, a relic of a desperate time they would rather forget. Whispers of dissent followed him through the halls of the palace, and though he ignored them, Liralei was acutely aware of the tension. One evening, as they stood on a balcony overlooking the restored gardens, she broached the subject. The night was cool, the stars casting a gentle light over the landscape. "Do you regret staying?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Marcus turned to her, his expression softening. "Why would you ask that?" "I see how they look at you," she admitted. "The things they say when they think I'm not listening. You've done more for this Dominion than most of them ever will, and yet I'm still just a human," he finished for her, a wry smile tugging at his lips. "It's nothing new, Liralei. Humans have always been the underdogs in this galaxy. I didn't join your guard expecting gratitude. But you deserve it," she insisted, her silver eyes shining with conviction. "You deserve more than this, more than what I've given you." Marcus shook his head. "You've given me everything I need. Purpose, a reason to fight, and someone to believe in." Her breath hitched at his words, and for a moment, the weight of the galaxy seemed to fade away. They stood in silence, the unspoken bond between them stronger than any words could convey. As the years passed, Marcus and Liralei continued to shape the future of the Dominion. Together, they established programs to rebuild war-torn planets, integrated new technologies to improve the lives of their citizens, and fostered alliances with species that had once been enemies. Their efforts transformed the Dominion into a beacon of hope, a symbol of unity in a fractured galaxy. But the peace they fought so hard to maintain was not without its challenges. Threats lingered on the edges of known space, where rogue factions sought to exploit the Dominion's vulnerabilities. Liralei's position as a leader and symbol of hope made her a target, and Marcus's role as her protector became more vital than ever. One such threat emerged during a diplomatic mission to the planet Othekar, a former rebel stronghold. The talks were meant to solidify the Dominion's alliance with the Othekarians, but not everyone on the planet supported the Union. As Liralei addressed the gathered officials in a grand chamber, an explosion rocked the building, and chaos erupted. Marcus was at her side in an instant, his instincts honed from years of battle. He shielded her from falling debris and drew his weapon, scanning the room for threats. A group of armed insurgents burst into the chamber, their weapons trained on Liralei. "Stay behind me," Marcus ordered, his voice calm but commanding. "No," Liralei replied, stepping forward. Her voice rang out, clear and unwavering. "You will not take another step." The insurgents hesitated, caught off guard by her fearlessness. It was all the opening Marcus needed. He moved like a shadow, disarming the closest attacker before the others could react. A fierce battle ensued, and though Marcus bore the brunt of the assault, Liralei refused to cower. When the dust settled, the insurgents lay subdued, and the Othekarian officials stared at Liralei and Marcus with newfound respect. It was another victory, but it came at a cost. Marcus, ever the shield, bore fresh wounds, and Liralei's heart ached at the sight of his bloodied form. Later, as Marcus recovered in the Dominion's medical bay, Liralei sat by his side. She clasped his hand, her fingers brushing over the scars that told the story of his sacrifices. "You can't keep doing this," she said softly. "You can't keep putting your life on the line for me." "It's my duty," he replied, his voice weak but resolute. "And it's my choice." Her eyes filled with unshed tears. "You've given so much, Marcus. More than I could ever repay." "You've already repaid me," he said, his gaze locking with hers. "By being who you are. By fighting for what's right. That's all I've ever wanted." For a moment, Liralei couldn't speak. The depth of his loyalty, his devotion, left her breathless. She leaned forward, pressing her forehead to his, a gesture of intimacy and gratitude in Kirelian culture. "Thank you," she whispered. "For everything." As the years turned to decades, the bond between Marcus and Liralei became a cornerstone of the Dominion's legacy. Their story, one of sacrifice, loyalty, and unwavering trust, inspired generations to come. And though time would eventually claim them both, their names were etched into the annals of history, a testament to the power of unity in the face of adversity. Even as the stars shifted and the galaxy evolved, the tale of the human guard and the alien princess endured, a beacon of hope for all who dared to dream of a better tomorrow. As decades unfolded, Marcus's body grew slower, weighed down by the scars of countless battles and the relentless march of time. Yet his spirit remained unyielding, a testament to the fire within him. Liralei, whose lifespan far exceeded that of a human, saw the changes in him with a quiet ache in her heart. The man who had once shielded her from harm, who had faced death time and time again without hesitation, was now beginning to show the frailties of age. Though he remained a trusted advisor and her most loyal protector, Liralei began to shoulder more of the burden of leadership herself, determined to ease his load. She insisted he take fewer missions, remain within the safety of the palace, and allow others to step into the roles he once filled. Marcus, ever stubborn, resisted at first but eventually relented, trusting her wisdom as he always had. Still, he could not sit idly. Even in the twilight of his life, Marcus trained the next generation of Kirelian warriors, instilling in them the values of loyalty, sacrifice, and courage. His legend grew as these young guards carried his teachings into the galaxy, honoring his name with every mission they undertook. One evening, as the twin moons of Kirelia bathed the palace in their soft light, Liralei invited Marcus to the gardens. The years had transformed the once chaotic battlefield into a place of peace and beauty, its vibrant flora a symbol of the resilience of life. They walked together slowly, the silence between them comfortable and filled with unspoken understanding. "I've been thinking," Liralei began, her voice as melodic as ever, though tinged with melancholy, "about everything you've done for me. For this Dominion." "I've done what anyone loyal to their leader would do," Marcus replied, his voice steady but softer than it had been in his youth. "No," she said, stopping to face him. "You've done more. More than anyone ever expected. More than I ever deserved." "You deserve everything, Liralei," Marcus said firmly, his gaze unwavering. "You've given me a purpose. A reason to fight when I thought I had none left." Her silver eyes glistened in the moonlight. "And you've given me more than I could ever repay. Your loyalty, your friendship, your heart." Marcus's breath caught at her words. Over the years, their bond had deepened beyond mere duty. Though neither had spoken of it directly, the connection between them had always been undeniable. It was a love that transcended the boundaries of their species and their roles, a love built on trust, respect, and the countless moments they had shared. "I wouldn't change a thing," Marcus said softly. "Not a single moment." Liralei stepped closer, her hands gently taking his. "Nor would I." The years continued to pass, and Marcus's body grew frilier. The day came when he could no longer rise from his bed without aid. Liralei remained by his side, tending to him with the same care he had shown her during the war. She refused to leave him, even as her advisors urged her to focus on matters of state. One evening, as the stars shone brightly outside his chamber window, Marcus called for Liralei. She sat beside him, her hand clasping his as he looked at her with the same unwavering loyalty that had defined his life. "I don't have much time left," he said, his voice a whisper. "Don't say that," she replied, her voice breaking. "You've survived worse." Marcus chuckled weakly. "I'm not afraid, Liralei. I've lived a life I never imagined, one filled with meaning and you. Tears streamed down her face as she leaned closer, her forehead resting against his in the Kirelian gesture of intimacy. You are more than my guard, Marcus. More than my protector. You are my heart. And you are my everything, he whispered. As the night deepened, Marcus took his final breath, his hand still in hers. Liralei remained with him, her tears falling silently as the stars bore witness to the passing of a legend. The galaxy mourned the loss of Marcus, the human who had defied prejudice and become a symbol of unity and hope. His name was etched into the history of the Dominion, his deeds recounted in songs and stories that would endure for generations. Statues were erected in his honor, depicting him standing tall, his body battered but his gaze resolute. Liralei, though heartbroken, carried his legacy forward. She ruled with the same strength and compassion that Marcus had admired in her, ensuring that his sacrifices were never forgotten. Though the pain of his absence never truly faded, she found solace in the knowledge that he had lived a life of purpose, a life shared with her. In the end, their story became more than a tale of war and sacrifice. It became a testament to the power of love and loyalty, a reminder that even in a galaxy divided by differences, two souls could find a connection that transcended all boundaries. And as the stars continued their eternal dance across the heavens, the memory of the human guard and the alien princess endured, a light that would never fade. Though Marcus's body was gone, his presence lingered in every corner of the Dominion he had helped shape. His teachings lived on in the guards he trained, his strategies in the military doctrines he had refined, and his unwavering loyalty in the hearts of those who had witnessed his devotion. Liralei ensured that his memory was not merely preserved but celebrated. She commissioned a vast memorial in the heart of the capital, its design incorporating elements from both human and Kirelian cultures. The centerpiece was a towering sculpture of Marcus, standing protectively with his shield raised, an eternal guardian. Around it, gardens bloomed in vibrant colors, a living testament to his sacrifices and the peace he had fought for. But for Liralei, no monument, no tribute, could ever truly capture what Marcus had meant to her. He was more than a hero to her people. He was her confidant, her strength, and the one soul who had truly understood her. As the years turned into centuries, the Dominion flourished under Lirelei's leadership. The wounds of the war healed, and new alliances were forged across the galaxy. The Dominion became a beacon of unity, its policies reflecting the values Marcus had embodied: fairness, compassion, and unyielding resolve. Yet, despite her outward success, Liralei often found herself retreating to the quiet sanctuary of the gardens she and Marcus had once walked together. In those moments, she allowed herself to feel the weight of his absence, to remember his laughter, his wisdom, and the warmth of his presence. One night, as she sat beneath the stars, a young guard approached her hesitantly. He was one of Marcus's students, now grown into a confident protector of the Dominion. "Your Grace," he began, bowing deeply. "I hope I'm not intruding." Liralei smiled softly, gesturing for him to join her. "Not at all. What brings you here?" "I've been studying the stories of Marcus," the guard said, his voice filled with admiration. "He was extraordinary. I wanted to ask, what was he truly like?" Lirelei's gaze drifted to the night sky, the memories flooding back. "He was the kind of man who gave everything without asking for anything in return," she said quietly. "He saw the good in people, even when they couldn't see it themselves. And he never wavered in his loyalty. Not once." The guard nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I want to honor him by living as he did. To protect this Dominion, to serve with integrity." "You honor him already," Liralei said, her voice filled with warmth. "By carrying his teachings in your heart. He would be proud of you." As the guard departed, Liralei remained in the garden, her thoughts turning once again to Marcus. Though the ache of his absence would never truly leave her, she found comfort in the knowledge that his legacy continued to shape the galaxy. Centuries later, as Lirelei's own time began to draw to a close, she prepared for the transition of leadership. The Dominion had grown far beyond what it had been in her youth, its influence stretching across the stars. She had ruled with strength and compassion, guided by the principles Marcus had helped her forge. In her final days, she requested to be taken to the gardens where Marcus's memorial stood. Surrounded by blooming flowers and the soft hum of life, she gazed upon the statue of the man who had given everything for her and her people. "I'm coming, my friend," she whispered, her voice filled with both sorrow and anticipation. "Wait for me." When the end came, Lirelei's passing was mourned across the galaxy. But among the tears was a deep sense of gratitude for all she had accomplished, for the peace she had forged and the hope she had kindled. Her body was laid to rest beside Marcus's memorial, her wish to remain close to him honored. The gardens became a sacred place, visited by millions who sought to draw inspiration from their story. Over the millennia, the tale of the human guard and the alien princess became legend. It was told and retold in countless forms: songs, plays, holographic dramas. Their story was more than history. It was a symbol of what could be achieved when trust, loyalty, and love overcame all barriers. And in the quiet corners of the galaxy, beneath the starlit skies, their spirits lingered, two souls forever united, watching over a universe they had helped to save.